Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Reddit. I am exhausted. Emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. This entire situation has made me want to crawl into a cave and not emerge until everyone involved either grows up or forgets how to use a phone. Buckle up, because this is a full-blown Shakespearean disaster about one wildly entitled adult child who thinks the universe still owes her a fairy tale. So here we go. I, 56 male, have two daughters. Let's call them Kara, 30 female, and Lena, 28 female. They've always had a bit of a rocky relationship. Not full-blown hatred, but let's just say the term sibling rivalry never quite felt strong enough. Kara, the older one, has always been the more dramatic of the two. Think main character energy turned up to 11. She likes the spotlight, and when things go wrong, it's never her fault. Lena is more grounded, more emotionally mature, and generally less interested in setting her life on fire for attention. This all started about 8 years ago when Kara was 22 and started dating a guy. We'll call him Mark. Mark was a good guy, kind, polite, had a decent job, came from a well-respected family, and was well-liked by all of us. He came to every holiday dinner, helped us carry heavy furniture, even helped me put up gutters once. He wasn't the cool guy by Kara's standards, but a dream bachelor for every parent. Kara and Mark dated for 3 years. During that time, it became pretty clear to all of us that while Mark was genuinely in love with her, Kara was not. She liked the attention, the gifts, the security, but she always had one foot out the door, constantly talking about keeping her options open and how she wasn't ready to settle. Well, surprise, surprise, at 25, Kara cheated on him. And not just a drunken kiss at a bar situation. No. This was a full-blown months-long affair with some idiot bartender she met on a weekend trip to Miami. Apparently, she was finding herself. What she found was a guy who lived with 3 roommates, didn't own a bed frame, and ghosted her the moment Mark dumped her and she became single again. How did Mark find out? That would be thanks to Lena, our younger daughter, the supposed villain in Kara's current revenge novel. Lena wasn't snooping or trying to meddle. Kara, in her infinite wisdom, decided to brag to Lena about the affair, like it was something she should be proud of. Literally sat across from her at brunch one day and said, "Mark's so boring. I'm seeing someone else. It's so exciting." Lena, horrified, gave her a chance to come clean. Told her she needed to break it off properly. Kara laughed it off. So Lena, who had always liked and respected Mark, eventually told him. She didn't do it to be malicious. She did it because the guy deserved to know he was being made a fool of. Mark broke up with Kara within the next 2 hours. No yelling, no drama. Just packed up and walked out of her life. Kara was livid. Not at herself, of course, but at Lena. She accused her sister of ruining her life and sabotaging her relationship, as if Lena was the one who spread her legs for the bartender. Fast forward 2 years. Mark and Lena crossed paths again at a friend's birthday party. They hadn't seen each other much since the breakup, but they hit it off. Really well, apparently. They started dating, slowly at first, then seriously. And I'll be honest, I was surprised at first. We had a long talk about it, and Lena was very respectful. She asked if we were okay with it. Mark even came to speak to me, man to man, to explain that what he had with Kara was over a long time ago, and he'd never imagined dating Lena, but feelings happened, and they weren't going to hide it. We gave them our blessing. Why wouldn't we? Kara had made it very clear she didn't care about Mark when she threw him away like old leftovers. Lena had done nothing wrong. She hadn't poached him. She hadn't pined for him in secret. They were 2 adults who happened to fall in love. Well, this year they got engaged. We were thrilled. My wife and I love Mark like a son. He and Lena are incredibly well matched. Supportive, loving, steady. They bring out the best in each other. So we started helping them plan the wedding, offering to pay for part of the venue, the catering, all the usual parent of the bride stuff. Kara, on the other hand, did not take the news well. She didn't just object, she exploded. When Lena told her about the engagement, In person, gently, hoping for maturity. Kara stood up and walked out of the restaurant. She didn't speak to any of us for 2 weeks. Then she sent me and my wife a 4-page email, basically accusing Lena of being a homewrecker and Mark of settling for leftovers. She said that Lena stole her future, that Mark was only marrying her to punish me for what I did, and this is the kicker, that I always knew he was still in love with me. She genuinely believes that Mark is marrying her sister out of spite, that he's somehow playing the longest revenge game in history by committing to Lena, buying a house with her, and planning to have kids just to hurt Kara. I tried reasoning with her. I told her that while I understand the situation is uncomfortable, she has no one to blame but herself. She cheated. She ended the relationship. Lena didn't pursue him back then. She stayed out of it. This isn't some betrayal. It's just life moving on. Kara didn't want to hear it. She told us that if we attend Lena's wedding, she will consider it a betrayal and go no contact. She expects us to boycott our younger daughter's wedding because she called dibs on the groom 5 years ago. I told her flat out, we're going to the wedding. That's when all hell broke loose. She screamed at me over the phone, accused me of choosing the favorite and rewarding Lena for stabbing her in the back. She said we're enabling loose behavior. Yes, she said that about her own sister, and that we never held Lena accountable for ruining her relationship. I repeated to her again, as calmly as I could, that the only person who ruined her relationship was herself. Lena didn't cheat. Lena didn't lie. Lena didn't brag about the affair like it was an achievement. If Kara wanted to be with Mark, she had a funny way of showing it. And if she genuinely loved him, maybe she shouldn't have treated him like a backup plan. Now she's gone scorched earth. She's blocked her sister, unfollowed and blocked the whole family on social media, and told us that we don't have a daughter anymore. She even had the gall to say that we should intervene and stop the wedding before it happens, if we want to make things right. Meanwhile, Lena and Mark are trying to stay above it all, but I can tell it's hurting them. Lena keeps saying she doesn't want to cause division, and Mark feels guilty, even though he did nothing wrong. They even floated the idea of eloping just to avoid the drama, and that broke my heart. This should be the happiest time of their lives, and Kara's making it all about herself. So yeah, we're going to the wedding. I am walking our daughter down the aisle. We're supporting her choice to marry a man who genuinely loves her, not chasing the ghost of a relationship her sister blew up years ago. But now Kara is telling the rest of the family that we're the villains, that we're choosing sides, that we're condoning betrayal and enabling a toxic marriage. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for telling my older daughter that yes, we are going to her sister's wedding, even though the groom is her ex from 5 years ago, whom she cheated on? Because from where I'm sitting, it seems pretty clear. But maybe I've been living in this circus too long and need an outside opinion. Edit. A few clarifications based on comments. No, Lena and Mark never had anything going on during his relationship with Kara. Lena was actually dating someone else during that time. They reconnected 2 years after the breakup. This is not a steal your man situation. It was a right place, right time thing after both were single. Yes, the rest of the family is divided. Some are staying neutral. Some are calling Kara out privately but afraid to say it publicly because of how explosive she is. My wife and I are standing firm though. We're not punishing Lena for falling in love with someone who loves her back. OP is definitely not the a-hole. OP's daughter cheated on her boyfriend, got dumped, and now thinks she owns him forever? That's not how relationships or reality work. If she loved him so much, she shouldn't have treated him like a placeholder while she found herself in Miami. The fact that she's melting down years later because her sister found real love with someone she threw away is not OP's problem. OP is supporting his child's happiness, and that's what good parents do. Kara sounds like she needs a therapist, not a boycott committee. And now let's hear the community's opinion. So let me get this straight. Kara cheats on her boyfriend. Lena exposes the cheating because she has morals. Kara loses said boyfriend. Lena and the ex reconnect 2 years later. Now Kara wants to call dibs from the past and rewrite history like she's the one who got wronged. I hate to break it to her, but life isn't high school, and people don't get frozen in emotional time capsules waiting for you to grow up. Not the a-hole. Let her throw her tantrum from the sidelines. Maybe the spotlight she loves so much will show her how ridiculous she looks. Not the a-hole. Kara is experiencing the consequences of her own actions and doesn't like it one bit. This whole "if you go to the wedding you're betraying me" thing is just emotional blackmail dressed up like victimhood. You're not choosing sides. You're supporting your daughter who didn't blow up her own relationship and then demand the world stay single on her behalf. Kara needs to learn that she's not the main character in everyone else's love story. Your daughter lost the plot. This is textbook narcissistic behavior. Cheat, play victim, accuse others of betrayal, and demand the universe pause until she gets her way. She's not mad about love. She's mad she didn't get to control the narrative. Honestly, you sound like a great parent. You handled this with way more patience than I would have. You're not the a-hole for going to a wedding. Kara is the a-hole for turning it into a hostage situation. Not the a-hole. My family is from a South Asian country. It is a culture where there are multi-generational homes and traditional close-knit family structures. One of the traditions, at least with my family, is that when someone in the family is getting married, the adult males, such as my dad, contribute to paying for the wedding. My cousin recently got married. The wedding was in our home country. My parents, my sibling, my wife, and I did not attend. Not because we had anything against it. It is just expensive and time-consuming. Involves about 14+ hours of flying to go back to our home country. When the wedding was initially arranged and planning started, my dad said he would contribute $4,000. It is more than his brothers are contributing, but he is okay with it because he is the oldest. Also, $4,000 in our home country goes a lot further than in the US. My aunt was completely fine with the amount initially. The problem started when my family attended my wedding a few months ago. It was a very nice wedding. So nice that a couple of weeks later, my aunt demanded my dad pay more so that her daughter's wedding can be more lavish than what they initially planned. By more, I mean $30,000. Not sure how she got to that amount. She basically saw my wedding and thought my dad had money to throw around. My dad refused, saying he didn't help pay for my wedding. This was true, since my wife and I paid for about 95% of all the costs of our wedding. My mother-in-law paid for my wife's dress and for brunch for guests the morning after the wedding. She volunteered to pay for those things. We did not ask. We also did not ask my parents because they aren't well off, just very frugal. Not sure why she thought he helped pay in the first place, since in our home country's tradition, the bride's family pays for the wedding anyway. Maybe thought we did it differently since I married a Caucasian woman. Aunt took that answer and retorted that then he should have money to give since he didn't have to pay for mine. Have to love the reasoning there. My dad told her if they want a nicer wedding, they need to pay for it or ask someone else for the money. They can take his initial offer or not. He is fine either way since he at least offered. In the end, they took the initial offer. Based on the few pictures I have seen, they ended up with the initial wedding plans. I'm all for helping family that deserve and or need help, but damn, this side of the family is entitled. At least it gives me some entertaining stories. If I were your dad, I'd nix the $4,000 based on that interaction. You live overseas, so you must be rich. Give me monies. This aunt, along with most of my dad's side of the family, all live in the US now as well. She is just entitled and greedy. My dad has spent thousands of dollars bringing his family to the US. The amount of gratitude? Zero. So, for some context, my partner and I, 4-year relationship, we are both in our 20s, live in a very small apartment, and storage space isn't a luxury we have or can afford. My in-laws very graciously offered for us to store our belongings that we weren't using for the time being in their home. So I labeled everything into totes and left it in their care. This stuff was mostly sentimental and Christmas items, many of them from my childhood and reminders of when my parents were still together and my grandfather was still alive. Most of it was passed down to me, and I treasured those items so dearly because Christmas is my favorite time of year, and many of the items I owned came from family that isn't around anymore. My mom let us know recently that she had plenty of room in her storage for anything we wanted to save. So we decided to take my Christmas stuff and my partner's items from my partner's family, use it to decorate for the holidays, and then permanently relocate it into my mom's storage unit. However, when we went to visit my in-laws to collect our items, they were nowhere to be found. I was immediately feeling very suspicious and uncomfortable because they seemed unfazed by my stuff being missing. As I said before, everything was labeled, but the only items that remained belonged to my partner, Everything of mine was gone. My partner immediately said something to them about how important those items were to me, and they shrugged it off. They ultimately made a comment that we could come back and they would help us look for it. The following week arrives, and when we show up, no one is home, despite their knowing we were coming to look for my belongings. They went out shopping instead. My partner and I rifled through everything only to confirm my fears. Everything was gone. I've been devastated ever since. We don't have the funds or means to replace anything. In addition, it was irreplaceable. The sentimental value of that stuff cannot be replaced, ever. It completely broke my heart, and I knew it was going to put a damper on my holiday season. I love to decorate for the holidays, and knowing the memories of my childhood were just given away was infuriating. I have had suspicions throughout our entire 4-year relationship that her family does not like me. My partner, however, has disagreed vehemently, so I have given them the benefit of the doubt. However, they make a lot of derogatory statements about my ethnic background, call my dogs ugly little rats, etc. I have had no reason to believe they truly care about me in the slightest, and this circumstance confirmed my fears. My partner, being the saint she is, confronted them about my belongings. Their response was to essentially blame us for leaving our stuff with them. They also attempted to lie and say that we were told many times to get our stuff, which is simply not true. We would have immediately driven to get that stuff had they made a comment like that, because that's how important it was to me. They also refused to apologize to me and told my partner they would not even offer to replace anything, confirming that this is personal. I truly don't know how to feel, and my partner and I are shocked and saddened. I have had an incredibly hard year between my mental health, finances, and overall well-being. I've only recently gotten to a point where I feel a semblance of normalcy, and I was just so excited to immerse ourselves into the holiday season and end the year on a high note. That has been taken away from us, and with no remorse. I truly need advice on what to do in this scenario. Some people believe they dislike me. Others believe this has something to do with my partner and I both being women. Either way, this is a difficult situation for my partner and I. I have no skills as far as setting boundaries, and I don't want this to be forgotten and swept under the rug. Another aspect of the issue is that not only was my partner's stuff still there, but little items from the totes I had were in her family's totes. So someone did go through the stuff and keep what they wanted. You have to be really sick to throw away stuff from someone's childhood and from dead relatives. I mean, if my parents did that to my wife, I'd lose my absolute crap on them and go no contact, especially if they've been saying and doing stuff like that for 4 years. Why does your partner still want a relationship with people who are trying to sabotage your relationship and hurt you like that? My advice is to steer clear of them and cut them out of your lives, ideally with your partner's agreement and support. Seems like they've made it deafeningly clear that you have a target on your back in their eyes and will keep pushing until they get what they want, to end your relationship. I don't really see any scenario where this relationship works out for you two, with them in the picture. If they got away with this without persecution, then they'll escalate until they either achieve their goal of removing you or have consequences, being cut out of your lives. Their lying and manipulative, or even psychotic, behavior and comments send a pretty straightforward message that they aren't interested in changing their ways. So your best shot is no contact. Update. I wish I was able to come into this update with good news, but I unfortunately don't have that. Ultimately, my partner made the decision to have it out with them, and she and I compiled a list of her talking points to keep her on track. They were immediately defensive and angry. She was told that I am acting crazy over material possessions, and ultimately told my partner they would never apologize to me, because they had no reason to. They also claimed that they told me to come get my stuff many times, which we both know is a blatant lie. I would have gotten my belongings immediately had I thought they would be discarded. My partner let them know that we would not be seeing them for the holidays or in general, and they said, okay. It's unfortunately a situation where everyone loses. My partner now feels that everything she's ever believed about her family is a ruse. I'm dealing with the aftermath of everything and accepting my sentimental items are gone. My parents are fairly sad at the loss of our memories, and my partner's parents are outright ignoring their own daughter. We thought we could at least salvage a little Christmas cheer because the only thing we recovered from them was our Christmas tree. However, the legs to our tree were completely gone, and the lights were damaged. We have had that Christmas tree the entire duration of our relationship, and I was infuriated to find that they ruined that too. They did not wish my partner a Merry Christmas, nor have they attempted to reach out at all. I give her an immense amount of props, as she stuck to her guns despite her family constantly preaching family is everything her entire life. She has been communicative and open with the hurt and betrayal she feels from her family. I sometimes blame myself, but know that this is a consequence of their actions, not my reaction. We have been told that they announced to everyone in the family that we would no longer be coming around by our own choice. As ridiculous as it is, that's the narrative they've chosen. And while I don't respect it, I have no desire to reach out or try to settle the score. So that's my update. They have continued on with their lives as if we don't exist, and we have continued to strengthen our relationship in the process. I am very proud of both of us for maintaining honesty and communication. While there were certainly bumps in the road, we've come out of this sad scenario a whole lot stronger. I am sick to death of people who say family is everything, unless they have enough decency to treat their family as everything. The truth is that families only consist of the people who actually act like they love each other. My sister-in-law lives with us during the term time, as my mother-in-law doesn't live in the city. Recently, my husband and her have been fighting a lot. She has a boyfriend who he dislikes, and he took her credit card from her because he said he wouldn't let her continue to spend his money on her no-good boyfriend. Before this, he pretty much gave her free rein, and she could buy whatever she wanted whenever she wanted. He did it to prove to her that her boyfriend was only with her for the things she was buying him. They're still together for now, so it hasn't worked so far. I told him repeatedly it wasn't a good idea because she needed the card in case of emergencies, but he wouldn't listen. A few days ago, she asked if I could take her to buy a new laptop. I'm 7 months pregnant and just exhausted all of the time, so I didn't want to go with her. I suggested she ask her brother, but she wouldn't since she was still upset with him. She asked me if she could take my card and go on her own, which I said yes to. She decided to buy more than just the laptop and was spending so much money that it caught my husband's attention. When he got home, he made a joke about my alleged shopping trip, which I was confused about since I had spent most of the day sleeping. He was upset with both of us after I explained what happened. When he confronted his sister, she just yelled at him and told him he wasn't her dad. Now he's planning to send her back to where their mother lives as a punishment, and she's begging me to convince him not to, as it would mean she has to change schools, be homeschooled. Their mother lives in a pretty remote area, where there aren't schools as good as her current one, so it would more than likely be homeschooling. I don't agree that she should be sent away, and I feel my husband has handled this whole situation horribly. However, each time I try to bring this up, he gets angry and mentions how this all happened because I gave her the card in the first place, and he says he doesn't want to fight with me too. What can I do or say to get him to listen? Holy moly, that kid is entitled. What 16-year-old thinks it's okay to go charge up a bunch of expensive purchases without permission? Why did she need a new laptop? Did hers die? She sounds spoiled, and your husband is absolutely in the right to set boundaries and consequences. Stop enabling the teenager and support your husband's boundaries. Stop letting a 16-year-old with no concept of money spend all of it. That's just ridiculous. Of course she's going to do what she wants, and she's going to date people who are interested in that. She does not need a credit card. She's 16. If she needs money, she can use a card that is monitored 24/7 with spending limits. She's working the both of you, and that's really pitiful. So, the coworker had a pretty big party to celebrate her 30th birthday. I don't know her that well, and I was really just my husband's plus one. My husband mentioned that we need to get a gift. I told him he should go ahead and just get one himself. Now, I had a crazy work schedule this week, and my daughter is involved in a school play, and it all just ate up a lot of my time. So I forgot to even ask my husband what he ended up buying for Eve Woman. Anyway, we get to the party, it's all going fine, and then it comes time to open presents. To give some context, I remember one woman got her a set of candles. Another guy got her this gourmet coffee that came with some cute mugs, stuff like that. So it comes time to open our gift, and it's this beautiful gold pendant. The woman's boyfriend's eyes widen, and he says, wow. The woman says the standard, thank you, you really shouldn't have. And that was that. So we get home and I tell my husband how mortified I am. He, clueless, asks me what's wrong. I told him his gift was inappropriate. He says he only got it because she always wears jewelry, so he figured it would be a thoughtful present. I asked how much he spent, and that's when he told me it was on sale for $200. I'll be honest and say I lost it a little. He's known this woman less than a year, and he thinks expensive jewelry is a go-to gift? So it ended up being one of those idiotic fights in which he's mad at me for being mad at him, and not much was resolved. I'm wondering if I was somehow wrong here. The guy who got the gourmet coffee was bang on. A nice bottle of wine or a funny inside joke would have been good. A $200 necklace is wildly inappropriate. At best, that is complete social ineptitude, and at worst, a signal of shady business. Edit. Given the fact that she's an administrative assistant earning significantly less than him, and that he earns a lot, I think this changes the situation a bit. A more lavish gift is somewhat appropriate, but I'll say that jewelry is probably still a poor choice. Does your husband earn six figures at this job? Sometimes people who make a lot of money don't quite have the same perspective. It's a banana, Michael. How much could it cost? $10? Does he hold an executive or similar level position, while this woman does not? If I'm a VP of a company, there's an expectation that I'll give a nicer gift than if I was an entry-level staffer. Otherwise, yeah, it's inappropriate. Yes, I guess that could be part of it. I suppose calling her a coworker might be misleading. She's an administrative assistant at the company he works for, so I suppose it's possible that he thought this would be a nice thing to do for her. But other coworkers in similar positions as my husband were also there and didn't go overboard like that, so I don't know. If the gift were only expensive, I don't think I would have cared that much, although everyone else's gifts I would estimate were within the $20 to $50 range. I think it's the fact that it was costly and it was a piece of jewelry that looked like something someone would give a significant other.